too bad the other one on the other side isn't the same. It's a different one. It's a Meridor on the other side. I think this is a, yeah, this is a Haldex on this side. I guess if, to make sure that your brake adjustment skills stay up to par, you have a different brand on every wheel. So I just threw that in the dirt like a moron. And there we go. Okay, so today on the Re-Newell project, we're working on brakes. I think what is going on is that my right rear brake chamber, spring brake chamber, may have a broken spring in it. But before I pull it off, I'm going to pull the air lines off and make sure that there isn't some kind of weird valve issue that's just not letting the air out of the chamber and release or activate, I guess I should say, the spring brake. So I'm going to check that, but I really feel like I got a broken spring on this side. And if I do, I'll probably just replace both brake chambers. I think on the front, I know on this side right here, I've got a bent shaft coming out of one of the brake chambers. I don't know how it got like that, but it's not working good and it's got a really bad brake pull. So I'll probably replace both brake chambers on the front. And I may put slack adjusters on as well, because the slack adjusters are a little rough. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get under there and block it up and see if I can get those air lines off. All right, so I've got this thing jacked up. Jacked it up and blocked it under the body on this side. And then I've actually got a bottle jack under the axle in the middle there. And then I jacked it up and then blocked the axle. That way the body is supported so that I'm not relying on the airbags. And also the big heavy axle is not dangling from the airbags, which just can't be good. I guess maybe the shock holds it at some point, but it's probably not good for the shock either. So I am going this route. So I've got it blocked on both sides. I've got the wheel off this side. I don't have it off the other side. I'm going to pull it off. So here's what I found. Long story short, the S-cams, which is this part right here, are backwards. At some point, somebody did a brake job on this. If you look, the pads look pretty thick, pretty new. It looks like it's got new drums, new springs. Somebody did a very expensive brake job on this thing, but they put I don't know if they put new bushings for the S-cams or why they pulled them out. But this one is a left-hand rotation, and you can tell that because basically the dips here, the way the dip is pointing is the rotation. So this one is supposed to turn this way. The problem is the brake chamber here is pushing this way, and it's pushing that lever that you can just barely see through all those cobwebs that way. So, and that's down at the bottom. So it's pushing this way. So if it pushes that way, this thing's going to turn clockwise. When this thing turns clockwise, it's just going to bind up and grab these two pins and do nothing. Really what it needs to do, if it was to turn the other way, then these round edges here would turn and spread those brake pads out. And that's the way these drum brakes work on these big trucks and buses and stuff like that. So what we've got is this one needs to be a mirror image, or basically this needs to be a right hand S-cam and it's a left hand. And if we go on the other side, I looked at it the other day, but I put the wheel back on. Same thing on the other side. It's a right hand, and it needs to be a left hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap. I'm going to take the S-cams out, swap them, and then I'm going to put everything back together, and it should be good. So that's the plan. And then while I've got everything apart, I'll check everything, because I'm pretty sure I can't get that S-cam. If you look down, the hub is blocking it. So I'm going to have to pull the axle out, which is this is basically the axle right here. It goes all the way in there. You pull that out, and then you can get to the bearings and everything. You can pull that hub off. So it'll give me a good opportunity to check the bearings, check the axle for wear, check all of that stuff, get the hub off, check the seals, replace them if necessary. Same thing for the S-cam. It's got bushings, it's got seals, so that when you grease it right here, the grease doesn't go shooting out the front and then get inside your brake drum, and all of a sudden you got grease flying around in your brake drum and greased brakes, which never is a good thing. So there's a lot of rubber components, a lot of things that probably need to be checked on this bus anyway. So it's not all bad, but I feel a lot better knowing that I know what's wrong with it now. What I don't feel good about is the fact that I drove this bus 3 hours with essentially no back brakes, which explains a lot, because it was very squirrely and it really didn't feel like it had very good brakes at all, which I thought was very weird. And so, yeah, a lot of the braking power and traction and everything else comes from the rear brakes on these buses, including the emergency brake, which basically wasn't working at all. So I had no e-brake either. But anyway, neither here nor there. I got home safe. That's all that matters. And we're going to get it all fixed up and working right. So that's where we're at. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe later tonight I'll get tearing into this thing and see what we got. I'm going to have to, one of the first things I'm going to have to do is remove the axle and see how big the axle nut is and what type of locking mechanism is on that axle nut, because some of them require a, well, not a special socket, but you got to make sure you have the right socket, because the socket is what actually presses little clips in and allows it to release so that it can turn. And if you try to do it with a wrench or something like that, it won't work. So got to get the axle out so I can figure out what kind of tool I need to order to work on this. I've got some brake spring tools coming probably in 2 days. So I might come out here tonight, see if I can get an axle out and get my socket ordered. And once I get all my special tools here, then we can rock and roll on this project. So stay tuned. We will be back. All right. Today, back on the brakes again. Pulling the wheels off the other side. Got one off already. Gonna pull the inner wheel off, and then I'll have both sides off and I can start working on the brakes. Nice to be jacked up a little bit higher. But I think I can get it. Oh. There we go. Walk it off there. That dang sure don't want to pick it up. Good. So this thing's got bud wheel sockets, which means it's got a stud, which is also a lug nut that holds the inner wheel, and then the outer wheel goes on, and then lug nut holds the outer wheel on. And that's a bud wheel stud. So you have to have a square 13/16 square drive to get these off, and they can be a pain, hence the large impact wrench. All right, now for the brake drum. Everything is heavy. Everything. I don't know how much it weighs, but it ain't light. So same problem on this side as the other side. S-cam is backwards. The brakes are turning the S-cam to the left, and it's binding up. This needs to be from the other side, so that it's a mirror image of what it is, so that when it turns to the left, it spreads the brake pads. Okay, so one of the first things we need to do is we need to make sure that there's no pressure on this S-cam, because right now the bus is aired down, so the spring brake is pushing, and I don't want stuff to go flying everywhere. So what we need to do is we need to go in here and back off the slack adjuster, which has got an adjuster bolt right there, and we'll back that off, get all the pressure off of the S-cam, and then we can take this thing apart. What I'm doing right now is trying to loosen the slack adjuster all the way so that it moves over this way enough to where it's not hitting the diaphragm shaft or the brake chamber shaft anymore. And I can get it off. I think I got it. Yep, we're clear. Cool. It looks like it's captured my wrench. That's all right, I'll get it back. All right, now that I have the slack adjuster backed off, I can take this little cotter pin out right here and knock this pin out, and hopefully the brake diaphragm will kind of just drop down and get that shaft out of the way, and then we'll be disconnected. And then we can try to pull the actual slack adjuster off, which will require taking off a snap ring, which I can't really see too good here, but there's hopefully one in there somewhere, and then that S-cam should slide out. All right, got the pin out. So now to the C clip or the E clip or the something clip. Okay, so the slack adjuster is turned so far now that it's got my wrench pinned in between the suspension and the slack adjuster, but that's all right. I think what I'm going to do, I've got the clip out to where the shaft should slide out of here. So I'm going to get the brake shoes off and everything, and I'm going to just pull this thing out. I got to pull the hub off though. All right, So I've got this special tool here that I'm going to use, or attempt to use, to get these brake springs off of here. But first I'm gonna go get some safety glasses because these are some big springs. I'll be back. Well, that worked amazingly well. Spring number 2. Get my wrench off of here. We should be able to wrench these off of here. Oh, about got me. Alright. So maybe that let enough pressure off the other side that I can pop it off. Yep. So on this side, now that I got those sort of down, I can get these rollers out of here. Maybe. There's one. There we go. Yeah. All right, so now that I got the brake shoes out of the way, I can turn my attention to the S-cam here. It's free because we got it off of the brake chamber shaft there. And I'm hoping that we can just, so it's free because we got it off the brake chamber shaft, and I'm hoping that we can just pull it out and that the slack adjuster will just fall off the back. Because on this bus there's framing all around the slack adjuster, so you can't really you can't just push it off the back and take it off, which is a real pain, which might explain how these S-cams ended up out of the bus to begin with, because there's really no reason to take them out unless you're replacing the bushings, which they may have. But I think the only way to get that slack adjuster out of there is to pull the shaft out and let it fall down. So that's what I'm trying to do. There we go. Maybe take it out the top. There we go. There you go. There's a slack adjuster. And it looks like about brand new, which is good. Too bad the other one on the other side isn't the same. It's a different one. It's a Meridor on the other side. I think this is a, yeah, this is a Haldex on this side. I guess if, to make sure that your brake adjustment skills stay up to par, you have a different brand on every wheel. So I just threw that in the dirt like a moron. Put this over here. All right, so I got stuff falling out everywhere. Shims. Don't want to lose that. Yeah, that looks like a, I don't know if you can see it, but looks like a brand new seal in here. Let me get the camera a little closer. So right here. So they've been in here working on this. And I think they took this thing all apart, had all their parts on a cart, and just put the wrong slack adjuster on the wrong side. Just can't believe they put it all the way back together without realizing that the brakes were nowhere near working. They must have been in a big hurry. Anyway, neither here nor there. And like I was suspecting, this S-cam's not going to come out without pulling the hub off. So let's see if we can get the hub off. So before I get too carried away, I think I'm going to try to pull this tube off and see if it allows this to rotate a little bit to where it'll come past here. I don't think it's going to, but I'm gonna try it. All right, so even after taking the tube off back here, it's still not gonna be nearly enough play for me to clear this thing. So no big deal, it had to come off anyway, it's worth a try. So I don't know what's going on in here, but it doesn't seem like it has much of a bushing. If I line this back up, okay, well, maybe it does. It's just there's a thicker part on the end of this S-cam that goes in the bushing, I guess. Just kidding. All right. So after you take all these nuts off, there's these spacers. Well, not spacers, but they're like centering wedges that center the axle on the hub when you tighten it up, and they're kind of a pain. They get squeezed down, and then trying to get them off is difficult. So what I'm doing is I'm jamming a little screwdriver in the slot, spread them out a little bit, and they'll come off. That plus a bunch of grease and dirt and silicone and everything else in between this and the threads, it's not help. So I'm just kind of trying to work it off without stabbing myself. There we go. And then you can see the fluid's draining out here. And once you do that, you can pull the axle out. So let me do that. Wow, that's a lot of silicone. There you go. Okay, now I got this gigantic 4-inch socket, 3/4 inch ratchet, and I'm going to attempt to remove this axle nut. That felt great on my elbow. I didn't need that skin. Lock ring, and then this is your one that's holding pressure on the bearings. I don't know how much pressure they got on this one either. A little bit. Let's see. clean my hands a little bit. Reaching in here. It's a messy job, but somebody's got to do it. Alright. There's that one. See if I can get this bearing off of here without dropping it in the dirt. Not gonna be easy. Definitely not easy with all this grease running out of it constantly. See if I can get a hold of it. It's not gonna work. See if I have a hook. There we go. I really don't want to drop this bearing in the dirt. There we go. It's a pretty big bearing. Looks pretty good. I don't think there's anything holding this on other than maybe the seals and stuff back here. I think I'm gonna go get a Ziploc container or something to put all of these bearings and stuff that I don't want getting dirty. Because every time I shake this, all kinds of dirt falls off. So let me get a container. All right, got the hub off. I had to coax it a little bit. But there it is. And it really looks like things are in pretty good shape here. But I'll inspect it a little bit more and make sure. Okay, now that we got the hub off, let's see if this S-cam will come out. Hey, look at that. That was easy. Just need to do the same thing on the other side now and swap them and put it all back together with possibly some new parts. We'll see. I need to clean and inspect. So there's the S-cam. Looks like it's in pretty good shape actually. It might be new. So get these cleaned up and we'll go to the other side. All right, so I've got the passenger side done and now I'm over to the driver's side. So I took my time on the other side and videoed all the different steps. On this side, I think I'm just gonna kind of power through it and do a quick time lapse. So see how fast I can get this one done get that axle out, get the hub off, get the S-cam out. And there we go. That's what we were looking for. It sure would be nice if I wouldn't knock my paper towels off in the dirt. No, it sure would be nice if you didn't have to take the hubs off to get those S-cams out. But I guess it's all about angles. Well, from what I can tell, pretty much everything is okay, except for these S-cams were backwards. I think the S-cams are okay. I'm gonna put new seals on, I think, before I put everything back together. But other than that, there's really not much wrong. So, see if I can figure out what kind of seal this thing takes and get some ordered. And we'll put it back together another day. Okay, so in order to test my theory, I have put one of the brake shoes back on temporarily. It's just sitting here. And I put the S-cam back in temporarily. It's just sitting there. So if you take a look here, the brake chamber pushes this direction. Your slack adjuster sticks down, and when it gets pushed by the brake chamber, it goes like this, which rotates counterclockwise. So now, in contrast to what we saw before, now that I've got, this came from the other side, I took it off and brought it over here. If we rotate this S-cam this way, you see how, that's how it's supposed to work. Spreads that brake shoe out, lifts that one. It would push this one down if it was there, but there you go. That was the problem. Now they were just swapped. I think when they did all this work, they changed the rear end fluid also. I don't know if it's got the right thing in it or what, but it looks good. It looks really good. It's pretty clean. There's no metal in there. So I may just leave it alone, top it off. I don't know. Or I may just drain it and do it all. Then I know what I've got. Might as well while I'm in here. But I feel much better. My theory was right. And now it's got to get all put back together and we'll be good to go.